What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today's video we have the brand new WLToys 104009. In this video we are going to be unboxing it, telling you what comes with it, showing you some must-do things before you run this car and pretty much any WLToys car, and give you my first impressions of it. As of right now, this thing looks pretty sweet, so let's dive in. So first things first, let's jump into the looks of this monster truck here. This is supposed to be a 10 scale truck. Everyone is saying it's more of the 12th scale size. Here it is next to the 1240-19, and here it is next to the ARRMA Granite 1/10 scale. As you can see, this thing is a lot smaller, but it doesn't really take away from it. This thing is still pretty cool. Getting back to the aesthetics of the truck, this thing is completely decked out with LEDs everywhere that you can imagine. We have front headlights, we have the front bumper lights, we have an LED bar up top, and we even have tail lights. So that's pretty cool. This thing is very good looking. This truck also comes fully furnished with two very detailed drivers inside. Their heads even move on there, which is cool. We have a top skid plate, which is also nice. Some rear little bars there. And something that happens with my ARRMA a lot, the body on the back gets scuffed up and cracked. So it's nice that they include this little bash bar here, which is made out of plastic and screwed in from the inside of the body. The front bumper is super flexible plastic. We've come to know that from WLToys stuff. Flipping this thing over, you'll notice some key differences from a lot of the other WLToys. For one, the front and rear arms are all aluminum. These are not plastic. Some people have some concerns about that bringing pressure points to other part of the car, but I think it's cool that they've chosen to upgrade some parts here. You'll also notice that the on-off button is not on the ESC anymore. It is on the bottom of the car. And you'll also notice this is the battery tray component. The battery goes inside here. This is not the battery it comes with, but you have a big battery tray right there. I'll put the dimensions down at the bottom of the screen so you can see what other batteries might fit in there. So before we take a look inside the car, let's just go over the wheels really quick. These are rubber tires. As you can hear, there is no foam in them. These are 12mm hex rims, so it will be nice that you can put aftermarket wheels and tires on this. 12mm is kind of the go-to for something this size, so you'll have plenty of options if you want to upgrade these. So once we take off the 4 body pins, this is where things might look a little different than your standard WLToys. First off, the body is connected with the wires for all of the LEDs. There are a ton of LEDs in this car, to the back, to the front, up here, and they actually put some silicone on this so it doesn't come out, which is kind of an inconvenience because you can't really pull the body off unless you melt that down. You will see it's kind of your standard layout, but with a few twists. As you can see, the battery tray is from the bottom, so you can't reach the battery from up top here. You got your standard 550 size motor with heat sink on it. Unfortunately, they went with another 5-wire servo that goes into the 2-in-1 ESC receiver combo. And here's a little circuit there that has all the wires connected to it for the LEDs. And everything else is pretty much covered in here. Also, almost forgot to mention that the front and rear shocks are oil filled, which is really nice. These things feel great. They're super plush. It looks like they were bled well. and I don't think I will need to take them apart and do anything with those. So this thing is proving to be extremely difficult to work on with all these wires everywhere. So let's go ahead and kind of melt down some of this silicone that's holding in these wires. Do this at your own risk, but I think it's going to help clean things up a bit. There we go. That's the wires for the LEDs. Now we can take the body and put it aside. Probably shouldn't breathe that in, that doesn't smell too good. As you can see here, we have a plastic spur gear and a metal pinion inside there. We'll take this off and get a better look in a second. But as you can see, we have a very thick center drive shaft in there that goes into this kind of weird plastic looking cup on the rear, and a metal cup on the front there. This pinion looks enormous compared to a lot of the other WLToys ones. Doesn't look like the motor mount is adjustable. I'm sure some people will figure out a way to mod that. In order to get to the differentials, we will need to take a lot of these screws out, so let's start with that. This thing's finally starting to come apart here. We took off just the middle screws here, not the ones that hold into the arms. The two up here that hold in the top arms. And I think all we need to take out now is these four right here, and we should be able to get to the rear differential. Basically take off the entire rear of the car, and you are just left with this kind of little butt. And take this off. There's your differential. So these are metal gears, as you can see in there. Input gear is also metal, and differential is metal. It does not sound well lubricated inside. So let's take this thing apart and see what's in there. And opening this up, oh no. This thing is bone dry. Looks like there's like some earwax in there or something, but only a little drop. So let's go ahead and ugh, that's too bad. So this is one of those things that you really should do before running your car. It'll save these gears from stripping out and make your car run a lot easier. So I'm going to put some diff oil in there and put this thing back together. Back together. Since I saw the way the rear diff looked, I'm going to go ahead and do the front diff. It's going to be the same thing. Take off a bunch of these front screws. We'll put some diff oil in there and get back to you with some last little maintenance tips. So, like I was saying before at the beginning of the video, there are the few things that you want to do to this car before you take it out and bash it. Obviously, one is check out those differentials. They're probably empty and there's no diff grease in those, so fill those up. Check the shocks, make sure that they are bled correctly. If they're too stiff, make sure you take some of that oil out. The last thing that I would check besides the screws everywhere is just put a little Loctite on the wheels, the nuts on there. These are not serrated hexes, so you will want to just put a little Loctite on there so these don't come flying off on you when you're bashing. So as always, everything that I use in this video will be linked down below. If you have any questions about this car, leave them down below as well. And we'll see you in the next one when we run this thing.